Anything less than 7 was a wrong answer. With perhaps good intentions, who would oppose regular personal worship, prayer, and Bible study? We reduced the devotional life to rote exercise. A.W. Tozer warned us about this, quote, "The whole transaction of religious conversion has been made mechanical and spiritless. We have almost forgotten that God is a person and, as such, can be cultivated as any person can," end quote. The casualties of mechanized religion are many. It's one thing to witness spiritually empty people outside the church. It's even sadder to see Christians inside the church who suffer the same spiritual emptiness. Ultimately, it's a matter of spiritual nutrition. Many Christians have found the traditional quiet time to be somewhat helpful in starting up a life of devotion, but rather restrictive and inadequate to build an ongoing, life-giving relationship with God. Since the quiet time is all that was taught, many have simply let the quiet time lapse without finding a substitute, having never been taught any other way to feed themselves spiritually. They thus live on a starvation diet, and then are surprised that they always seem so hungry. Others have labored on, but admit that the routine of their devotions has made them seem more like an obligation than a delight. This is because helpful, even delightful routines can grow stale over time. There are certain foods I really like, but I don't want to eat them every day. I have certain running routes and workouts that I earnestly look forward to, but I wouldn't want to run the same route at the same speed, the same length every time I run. Just getting out of our routines can often generate new enthusiasm. One of the most refreshing things that happened to my marriage some years ago was breaking my wrist. It was a serious break requiring surgery, and it thrust Lisa and me out of our routine. We did most everything together, in part because I needed so much help. Since my exercise was limited to walking, we took near daily walks. We shopped together. We answered email together. Initially, I couldn't even type. For a while, Lisa even helped me get dressed. Okay, you try tying your shoe with one hand. Being out of our routine, Lisa and I discovered a deeper and newer love. The romance was always there. It had just been buried under the accretions of always doing the same thing. I found that many people face the same dilemma in their walk with God. Their love for God hasn't dimmed. They've just fallen into a soul-numbing rut. Their devotions seem like nothing more than shadows of what they've been doing for years. They've been involved in the same ministry for so long, they could practically do it in their sleep. It seems as if nobody in their small groups has had an original thought for 3 years. They finally wake up one morning and ask, is this really all there is to knowing God? Quiet time collides with reality. Several years after I graduated from college, I realized my spiritual life had to adapt to a new schedule. I was leaving the house between 5 and 5:30 a.m. and getting back home around 5:30 p.m. That left an hour to have dinner with my family, an hour to spend some time with my children, half an hour to get the kids in bed, and about another hour to pay the bills, take out the garbage, catch up on my wife's day, and take phone calls. If we had an evening meeting, everything was crunched even tighter. To have a 60-minute quiet time, which had been a cherished staple of my spiritual diet, I would have had to get up at 4 a.m. I was able to fit in some daily Bible reading before I left the house and a time of prayer during my morning commute, but I felt I was cheating. Vacations and weekends offered the opportunity to resume this discipline, but the work week demanded something else. This struggle to find a new spiritual prescription became a great blessing because I began to find new ways to nurture my soul. Perhaps the primary lesson I learned was that certain parts of me are never touched by a standardized quiet time. My discipline of quiet times was and is helpful. However, I came to realize it wasn't sufficient. Other parts of my spiritual being lay dormant. I also began to realize other people shared my frustration. For some people, the formulaic quiet time seems too cerebral. Others simply grow bored sitting at a desk alone in a room, just reading and thinking.